What's up, guys? This is your friend, and we are back with a new amazing fanfic. Which is What If Naruto Got Harem with Haku X Kurotsuchi Part 1. And guys, if you enjoy this fanfic, then please give me hype instead of comment and subscribe to my channel Anime Hub 1.2 for more fanfic like this. And now let's start the fanfic. As the longest, darkest night in Konohagakure's history came to an end, a flash was seen as a massive, 50-meter tall fox suddenly disappeared. Near the site of the disappearance, a blond man in a shredded white haori can be seen lying next to a beautiful, motionless redhead. In his arms, a blond baby boy with 3 whisker marks on each cheek was sleeping peacefully. As the barrier around the ritual site faded, Hiruzen Sarutobi, the third Hokage of Konohagakure no Sato, approached the downed couple. Minato, what happened to the Kyuubi? Are you okay, my boy? Asked the previous Hokage. Hiruzen, I don't have much time left. This is my son, Naruto. I sealed the Kyuubi in him with the Reaper Death Seal. Please, keep him safe. Raise him with love and help him carry his burdens. Oh, my boy, why didn't you ask me to use that seal? The village still needs you. Cried a dejected Hiruzen. Each member of the Anbu detail could be seen shaking with tears pouring out from below their masks. One silver-haired Anbu was on his knees, wailing openly and crying, Sensei, Sensei, please don't go. Not you too, Sensei. Kakashi, don't cry for me. I protected my village, and my son. He is going to need you, Kakashi. Be strong for him, help him, and when the time comes, teach him. As I loved you as my own son, I ask you to love him. In between sobs, the now known Kakashi swore an oath to the heavens, I swear, Sensei. I will do as you ask. Minato looked back to Hiruzen. Hiruzen, I am fading. Please, old man, fight for my son. Protect him. A lot of hate will be aimed at him from inside and outside the village. He should be seen as a hero. Please, old man, protect him. Rely on my and Kushina's friends. I have faith in them. With the last of his willpower, Minato rolls back on his side and embraces Kushina. With a final kiss to her lips, Minato's soul is finally pulled into the stomach of the Shinigami. As the shock faded, Hiruzen stumbles over to the baby swaddled in Minato's arms and picks him up. Soru, please secure Lord Fourth and Lady Kushina. Everything you saw here is an S-rank secret that is not to be spoken of. Take them to the tower and secures their bodies. Later in the council room, Hiruzen enters the council chamber still holding Naruto to see all his clan heads assembled on his left. Their clothes are dirty, singed and clearly displaying signs of the battle that just drew to a close. He nods his head to the clan heads as an incessant racket draws his attention to the other side of the room. On the right, the civilian council is present. It should be noted that they are all in their fine dress that is perfectly clean. After all, they were all escorted to their bunkers early in the battle. As soon as they notice the third Hokage, the noise starts to fade. To the rear of the Hokage chair, 3 older people can be seen. These are the village elders. Homura Mitokado, genin teammate of Hiruzen, is an old man with a long face, glasses, a gray chin-wrap beard and wild gray hair. Kaharu Udatane, also a genin teammate of Hiruzen, is an old woman with narrowed, downcast eyes and a permanent frown. Finally, is Danzo Shimura, longtime rival of Hiruzen. He has jet black hair and an X-shaped scar over his chin. However, his most defining feature is the bandages wrapped over half of his face, covering his right eye. He also has his right arm bandaged and in a sling. As Hiruzen takes in the panicked and distressed looks of his council, he knows he is in for a long night. As he takes his seat, he draws in a deep breath and says, "All right, let's get this council meeting started." Immediately, cries ring out from the civilian side of the council. Each shout drowning out the next. As the noise escalates, a pineapple-haired clan head raises his head off the table and in a voice few have ever heard yells, "Troublesome." One at a time. This isn't the fucking school cafeteria. As the rest of the noise dies out, the newly appointed civilian representative, Mibuki Haruno, A pink-haired woman in her early to mid-20s says, Lord Third, what happened to Minato-kun? Quote. Hiruzen replies, please, Mibuki, sit down. There is a lot I must cover with the council. Please hold all questions until I am done speaking. The civilian representative sits with a sour look on her face at being dismissed but listens in as Hiruzen recounts the events of the night to the Count. CIL. As Hiruzen's story comes to a close, he broke the bad news. Minato-kun and Kushina-chan are dead. They died defeating the Kyuubi and they have left their son in the care of Jiraiya and Kakashi Hatake. Quote. At this, the clan heads all shifted, and their heads swiveled. Finally, Hiashi Hyuga speaks up, Lord Third, are you saying that boy there is Minato and Kushina's child? Yes, Hiashi. This is Naruto, the heir of the Namikaze and Uzumaki clans. Quote. The Hyuga head replies, Lord Third, Minato and Kushina were dear friends of the clan and Hitomi-chan. Naruto should be raised in a set household, not in the care of Lord Jiraiya and a teenage boy. This riled up the clan heads, many proclaiming their friendship to Minato and saying they would also like to raise the boy. After a minute, Hiruzen called for silence and said, Hayashi, I appreciate your friendship with Minato, but I cannot show favoritism to one clan. Young Naruto was bequeathed to Jiraiya in their will, and I bore witness to Minato asking Kakashi to help raise him during his final moments. Hiashi bowed his head and sat back down. This led to a pregnant pause which was once again broken by Mibuki Haruno, Lord Third, what happened to the cube? After taking a deep breath, Hiruzen says, Minato sealed the Kyuubi into young Naruto using the Reaper Death Seal. Before you start shouting to kill the demon, I would like to demonstrate something for the civilian side of the council. He pulls out a scroll and a kunai. He asks Mibuki in a patronizing tone, Mibuki, can you please tell me what I hold in each hand? She replies with, a scroll and a kunai, Lord Third. Precisely, he replies while sealing the kunai into the scroll. Now Mibuki, what do I hold in my hand? A scroll, Lord Third. A small smile flitters upon the wizened visage of Hiruzen. I am so happy you see it that way. I wanted to make this clear. Young Naruto is not the Kyuubi. He is the prison into which the demon is sealed. If this young man is killed, the demon will be released and will once again imperil our village. A male civilian counselor stands up and shouts, no, Lord Third. That thing is a demon. It should be killed here and now so we can finally be rid of it. After that outrageous statement, Hiruzen made a motion with his hand and the dog-masked Anbu appeared behind the civilian counselor. With a swift stroke of his wakizashi, he removed the man's head and let it roll to the ground. The silence was broken as blood sloshed out from the man's neck and made a sickening, squelching sound. Two Anbu descended and picked up the remains. Hiruzen took this as his cue to issue a warning. My fellow council, listen up because I will not repeat this. This silence in between his sentences was deafening as the man radiated a killing aura that caught the attention of shinobi and civilians alike. Naruto is under my protection. I swore to Minato as his final wish that the boy would grow up safe in a village that will see him as the hero he is. As his eyes swept the room, many of the civilian council looked down, not meeting his eyes. The shinobi met his gaze proudly, with slight nods of their heads confirming that they were with their newly reinstated Hokage. Behind Hiruzen, Danzo made a slight shift and narrowing of his eyes. Let me close this meeting. It has been a long night and all of us have family and clans to check on. I will be relying on each of you to fill out damage reports, prioritize key infrastructure and needs. We will need to work together to rebuild our beloved village and protect it. Fugaku and Hiashi, please stay. Quote. As the council room emptied, Fugaku and Hiashi stood to attention and saluted. Hiruzen returned the salute and motioned them to sit. Fugaku, with over a third of the western village destroyed and the wall collapsed, I will need the police now more than ever. I also ask you, Hiashi, to provide support to the Uchiha until our defenses have restabilized. Fugaku begins to reply with, Lord Third, the Uchiha can. Enough, Fugaku. Your rivalry be damned. Every man and woman that can help rebuild and protect the village is needed now. I ask you to work with Hiashi to make sure our village is secured. Yes, Lord Third, says Fugaku with his head bowed. It will be done, states Hiashi with his typical, unreadable impression. Thank you. Now I know both of you will want to help with young Naruto-kun. I will invite you to a meeting to discuss his future once this madness has settled. In the meantime, he will stay at the Sarutobi compound. As the two leave the room, Hiruzen sighs and takes out his pipe from his robes. He lights it up and takes a deep drag as he looks down on the infant in the makeshift cradle. I promise, Minato and Kushina. Your sacrifice will not be in vain. 2 weeks later in the Hokage office. Hiruzen sits down in his leather chair behind the Hokage desk with Naruto laying in a cradle beside his desk. His visage peeks through stacks of paperwork as he looks out over those in attendance. The three elders were seated on the right side of the room with Hiashi and Fugaku seated on the couch in front of his desk. On the back wall, a massive, middle-aged man with long, spiky white hair and a hishiate with the kanji for oil inscribed on it. He is wearing a red overshirt with a gray undershirt, metal arm bracers and gray pants finished with wooden geta sandals. This is one of the legendary Sannin, Lord Jiraiya of Mount Mayuboku. To his right is a beautiful woman who appears to be in her mid-20s that has beautiful honey eyes with a RPLE diamond in the middle of her forehead. The green overcoat opens to reveal a white shirt that provides just enough cleavage to make all men struggle to keep their eyes up. She is leaning against the wall with an impassive expression on her face and her arms crossed across her ample chest. After summarizing the events of October 10th for the Sannin and getting a report from Fugaku on village security and the progress of the wall rebuilding, Hiruzen addresses the room. Thank you for your help over these past 2 weeks. Much has been done and there is much to do. Tsunade and Jiraiya, thank you for returning to the village on such short notice. I wish it were on better terms. Jiraiya gets a goofy grin on his face and says, sure thing, sensei. After that, his face turns serious and he says, now, can we talk about my student's child, please? Yes, Jiraiya, I was getting to that. Minato and Kushina left young Naruto to your primary custody, Jiraiya. He also asked Hitaki Kakashi to assist in raising the boy. Sensei, I know why Minato gave me that responsibility, but I cannot possibly accept. I have my duties outside the village, not to mention my spy network. With Konoha in this state, it is more important than ever that we stay ahead of the threats. Tsunade makes a tisk sound and snaps her head away from Jiraiya in disgust. The pain she feels just from being in this god-forsaken village has her at her wit's end. Now she must put up with her perverted ex-teammate. Unbelievable. Danzo cuts in before anyone can respond. I agree with Jiraiya. We cannot recall him to the village at this time. His intel has been instrumental in preventing many threats to Konoha. I ask that the child be put in my care, where I can train it properly. All faces in the room hardened as Hiruzen steps in. Danzo, I know that the roots of the great tree need to be kept, but if I hear you refer to young Naruto in that way again, I will be finding a new groundskeep. He takes a drag on his pipe and exhales. This child is to be raised in the light, with the help of the people in this room. Hiashi and Fugaku made an almost imperceptible shift and looked on excitedly. He continues, my plan is to have Naruto raised on the Namikaze estate. I have already assigned Tsubaki Sarutobi, a wet nurse and caretaker of the Sarutobi clan, to raise Naruto in his family home. As you all know, his existence as of now is only known to the council and is an S-class secret along his Jinchuriki status. After taking a deep breath and another drag, he continues, I plan on the child's formative years being hidden in the Namikaze estate. Once he is old enough, each person in this room will be able to take part in his development and training. Yes, before you ask, even you Danzo. He chuckles and finishes with, you have many good things to teach, old friend. When the time is right, I will let you teach young Naruto and help form him into the shinobi we all know he can be. Quote. After an admittedly stunned silence, Tsunade says, Sensei, I will stay until his first birthday. After that, I am out. The pain this village brings me is too great, but I owe Kushina at least that much. Quote. Kaharu chimes in, Hiruzen, you know how I feel about that, child. I will not be around it any more than need be. I want no part of that boy, he is a ticking time bomb. Jiraiya leans forward off the wall as he lets loose a sizable amount killing intent, enough to make the elders struggle. Under the weight of it. I know Sensei made this clear for his part, but let me enlighten you. Naruto is under my protection. Whether I am in the village or not. If anything happens to the child, I will hold each person in this room personally responsible. He lets off a bit on the key and continues, I have inspected the Shiki Fuin seal, and I will say that it is the strongest and most intricate seal ever placed on any of the Jinchuriki. Not only will the seal lock the Kyuubi into Naruto, but the seal will also convert the Kyuubi's chakra bit by bit into Naruto's own chakra pool and reserves. If you don't believe me, ask Hiashi. Every eye in the room turned to the startled Hyuga. He activated his dujutsu and scanned Naruto, it is as Jiraiya says. Around the seal, I see small fragments of red chakra circling through the seal and turning into the natural blue chakra that we all have. Naruto's chakra does have a deeper blue look to it, but I think that is because of its potency. Another note, Naruto's own chakra reserves at 2 weeks old are already equal to most academy students. A gasp flittered through the room and a gleam appeared in Danzo's eyes. This could be the greatest weapon in the entire elemental nations. I need to have this child, but Hiruzen would never allow it. I cannot believe the fire that has returned to his eyes. If I cross him, I will not survive the fallout. For now, I will try to get access to the child so I may observe firsthand, thought Danzo. Danzo looks at the Hokage and asks, Hokage-sama, what is the plan for the child? Surely, he will need to become a ninja to learn to control the Kyuubi. If he doesn't learn control, the beast could take advantage of that and escape. Quote. Hiruzen looks at Danzo then at each of the others around the room. I plan on Tsubaki raising Naruto in secrecy until he is ready to become a shinobi. I will give each person in this room access to the Namikaze compound so that you may each visit Naruto. I would hope that with the right guidance, we can instill the will of fire into young Naruto and secure Minato's legacy and the future of our village. Tsunade chimes in, Sensei, Kushina would have wanted Naruto to have a normal childhood with friends, unburdened by the darkness of shinobi. Quote, I know, Tsunade, but no matter how you look at it, Naruto is not normal. Furthermore, if his existence is made known, then we will have assassins from Kumo and Iwa looking to finish off Minato's legacy. Those grudges run deep. If we can keep him safe on the Namikaze estate until young Naruto starts at the academy, then we will have a much better chance of keeping Kumo and Iwa off his trail. At this point, Hiashi steps in, Lord Third, what if the child is raised under the name Uzumaki and then Hen the time is right, and the child is strong enough, we can announce his heritage. This would allow us to bring Naruto into the public and possibly create friendships with the other clan children. He will be watched and protected by the shinobi families while creating bonds that tie him to the village. That is an interesting idea. Kushina had her fair share of enemies as well, though, and the Uzumaki name may still attract the attention of Kumo. Jiraiya decides to put in his 2 cents. Sensei, I will be able to stay ahead of any of that. We can provide a better life to Naruto. Furthermore, if we play the Uzumaki name off as a common orphan's name, then that would allow Naruto to be raised normally. We would of course tell him about his heritage, along with the trusted few clan heads who are loyal to Minato. This would keep his self-identity intact and protect him as much as possible. That is an interesting idea, Jiraiya. If the Uzumaki name reaches Kumo, I expect you to do some counterintelligence work and make sure they believe the orphan story. I believe that is all for this meeting. Please return to your duties and aid with the village recovery. 3.5 years later. 3 years passed in a flash for Naruto, Tsubaki and surprisingly, Tsunade. The vibrant ball of energy had brought so much light to every person he met. Tsubaki and Tsunade had started teaching Naruto to read after he complained that he couldn't understand of his, 2-chan's, books a year ago. Naruto struggled to learn, but what 2.5-year-old wouldn't? Now, Naruto is often seen carrying around a wooden kunai and reading books like Intro to Fuinjutsu, by Uzumaki Mito, and The Coolest Battles of Shinobi History, by Rimuru Satoru. For his 3rd birthday, Jiraiya had given Naruto The Tale of the Gutsy Ninja, which inspired Naruto to profess himself a ninja and ask for a kunai. The next time Jiraiya showed up, he gave Naruto a box of wooden kunai. Aside from his reading, Naruto loved spending time outside on the training grounds of the Namikaze estate with his ba-chan, Tsunade. After the first year, Tsunade had decided that she would give life in Konoha one more chance. Her attachment to the hyperactive toddler only grew and earned smiles, laughs and guffaws from all those that witnessed the unique relationship. Jiraiya and Hiruzen were ecstatic to see the light return to Tsunade's honeysuckle eyes and a smile to return to her face. The time she spent with her brat was filled with laughter, Naruto playing shinobi and Aunt Shizune trying to keep Tsunade from throwing Naruto over the Hokage mountain. After a year or so, Tsunade decided to return to Konoha Hospital when she wasn't spending time with her last living relative. She was appalled to find out how much the standard of care had fallen. She then got the 3rd Hokage to approve remedial training for all certified nurses and doctors at the hospital. She led the physical and medical retraining and became feared for her quick temper whenever she saw a negligent mistake. One day, she brought Naruto to a training session and introduced him as Naruto Uzumaki. The little blondie was running around in between groups of medics who were practicing their Areo ninjutsu. He would fake his own injury and yell for the medics. Somehow, he found the fake blood packs and was covered in the fake blood. The medics fell in love with the little blonde ball of sunshine and started treating his wounds. Tsunade walked up to a group of female medics and doctors cooing over what looked like a mummified bundle of bandages. The only indicator that it was Naruto was the blonde hair that was peeking out over the tops of the bandages. The mummy training incident incited the hospital staff to nominate Naruto as their mascot. This, in turn, was how Naruto fell in love with training. He started showing up regularly for the morning workouts. Shizune, now officially confirmed as Tsunade's apprentice, would walk him through basic physical exercises. His endless energy basically guaranteed that Shizune was the one that left training tired. Once Shizune was tired out, Naruto encouraged the other medical personnel to help them finish their workouts. This was the brilliant start to Naruto's public persona. Today, Naruto was extra excited because he was invited to a birthday party for the first time. Despite Naruto getting to meet Jiraiya, Tsunade, Hokage Gigi, the weird old mummy guy, Hiashi and Fugaku, he has yet to meet and play with anyone his age. That is why today was an ultra special, super important occasion to Naruto and he was pestering Tsubaki and Tsunade to make sure everything was perfect. Okay, Ba-chan. I have these nice clothes, a present and I think I know what to say to Hiashi-sama when I get there. Am I forgetting anything? What do you say to Hiashi-sama when he greets you? Asked Tsunade with a coy smile and light in her eyes. Good afternoon Hyuga-sama, I am grateful for your invitation, replied a self-assured Naruto. Good, and then what do you do with the gift? I give them gift to Hiashi-sama and say that this is a gift to celebrate Hinata-san's 3rd birthday. Answered a slightly less confident knucklehead. That will do. Just have fun Naruto and make some friends your age. Alright, let's get going, said Tsunade as she shuffled the youngster out of the house and compound. Walking through the village, many of the villagers would point at Tsunade and ask things like, is that Tsunade-sama's child? Quote. This made Tsunade remember her little brother Noaki, whom Naruto reminded her so much of. Naruto looked up and noticed Tsunade's slight frown and asked her, "What's wrong, Ba-chan?" Tsunade shook off her thoughts in Naruto's question and simply answered him with a smile and ruffle of the hair. After all the looks, greetings and whispers, Tsunade was glad to arrive at the Hyuga compound. The two gate guards noticed Tsunade walking up and rushed off to get Hiashi. As they walked through the gate, they saw Hiashi and Hitomi waiting for them. Hitomi was a beautiful woman with dark blue-black hair and pale white eyes that had a lavender tint to them. She was teammates with Kushina, and as soon as Hiashi had told her about Naruto, she had been waiting to meet her friend's hidden son. She smiled as she saw the young blonde approach. Naruto walked up with a laughably rigged posture and said, "Good afternoon, Hyuga-sama. I brought a gift for Hinata-chan's birthday." Datbeo. Hiashi cocked an eyebrow at the youngster. Which for a Hyuga was the equivalent to a hearty laugh and smack on the back by an Akamichi. The vibrant nature of his greeting stood in stark contrast to the typical Hyuga etiquette. After Hiashi composed himself, he returned the greeting by bowing his head slightly to Tsunade. "Good evening, Tsunade-sama and Uzumaki-san. I am grateful you could join us to commemorate Hinata's third birthday." Truth be told, Hiashi wasn't one to throw a party for such a paltry reason, but Hitomi had been bothering him about getting to meet Naruto, and this was as good an excuse as any. "I apologize, but I have to head to the Hokage Tower. The delegate from Kumo will be wrapping up with the signing of the treaty, and we have agreed to house him as a show of good faith." Tsunade waved him off and said, "I am surprised you would let him stay here. Have a safe trip and we can share some sake when you get back." As Hiashi walked out of the compound with his brother and personal guard, Hitomi ushered the duo into the compound's courtyard, where laughing and talking could be heard from the front gate. Naruto noticed how big and fancy the Hyuga compound was compared to his parents' house. It was modeled after an old Japanese architecture that was simple, yet elegant. As he approached the courtyard with Tsunade just a step behind him, Naruto spotted the birthday girl. She was a small little thing with dark blue hair cut in a harem style, mousy face and a small build. She was wearing a formal lavender kimono that made her look like a proper little noble toddler. Naruto walked up to her and kicked off the conversation with a gigawatt smile. "Good evening, Hinata-san. My name is Uzumaki Naruto. Thanks for inviting me to your birthday party. I brought a present for you." The girl was stunned by his outgoing behavior and immediately blushed, looked down to the ground and kept touching her index fingers together. After a moment, she looked up slightly and replied with, "Thank you for coming to celebrate my birthday. It is nice to meet you, Uzumaki-san. My name is Hyuga Hinata. Please put your present over there with the others." She pointed to a pile of presents and smiled shyly. She was then pulled away from the conversation by another Hyuga that looked slightly older than her and had a much more rigid posture and face. After Tsunade took Naruto to get some food, they sat down at a table with a man with two diagonal cars on the right side of his face that had his hair done up in a spiky ponytail. He was sitting next to a similar and smaller version of himself. They both had an extremely lackadaisical posture that seemed to say, "Please don't be too troublesome." As Naruto sat down, the older of the two perked up and met eyes with Tsunade. Their silent conversation confirmed that this was Minato's son, whom Shukaku had been waiting eagerly to meet. He was the 4th Hokage's Jonin commander and was very close to Minato and Kushina. In fact, he was one of the only people that knew when and where they were going to have the baby. The events of that night had plagued his nightmares. There was just a piece of that puzzle that Shukaku couldn't figure out. They had taken so many precautions, how did it all go wrong? Shukaku was pulled from his reflections by the loud and proud greeting of Naruto. Shukaku put on a smile and answered the vibrant blonde with, "Good evening, Naruto. My name is Shukaku Nara, and this is my son Shikamaru." Shikamaru had noticed his dad perk up in the immediate drift of his father's train of thought. He looked to his dad and then offered his hand to Naruto. The two sat next to each other and talked while Naruto ate. Let it be known that all Tsubaki's attempts to teach Naruto table manners had not yet taken effect. After Naruto finished eating, he and Shikamaru went off to play with a group of kids. As the evening progressed, Naruto had met a bunch of the clan heads, children, not that he knew they were Clan H. EIRS. His vibrant nature and boisterous personality rapidly got him nominated as the leader of the group's games. They played ninja, tag, hide and seek, and even a ninja game that involved the kids trying to throw wooden kunai through holes of different sizes. During these games, he met Ino Yamanaka, Choji Akamichi, and a feral-looking boy named Kiba. Eventually, Hinata and Neji had come and joined the group to play. The adults had been looking on with smiles on their faces. Tsunade, with sake in hand, wore a proud smile and a wistful look in her eyes. A group of 3 males stood casually next to each other while watching the children play. In this group was Shukaku and his friends Shuza Akamichi and Inoichi Yamanaka. Shuza is a big, burly man with long red and spiky hair. He towered over his 2 friends as he wore a formal black kimono with the Akamichi clan crest emblazoned over his heart and on his back. Inoichi Yamanaka is a slender man with a narrow face, emerald eyes and sandy blonde hair. He had a faraway look in his eyes as he watched the children. Inoichi broke the comfortable silence with, "He is a natural leader, just like Minato." Shuza chuckled and drank some of his beer. "Indeed he is. He is the spitting image of Minato. Although I see a bit of Kushina in him. Especially in that wild personality of his." Shukaku chimed in with, "Maybe more than a little bit of her personality. I think it may get to be a bit troublesome." Quote. The group turned as they heard a full-blown feminine laugh from behind them. They turned and greeted Tsunade, who simply nodded and said, "You have no idea." They continued a friendly conversation while watching the children's antics. As the evening drew to a close, Hitomi had invited Naruto to stay the night. She said that Naruto could stay in Hinata's room. Neji would be there as well, so nothing untoward would happen. Come on, who could ever think about 2-3-year-olds doing anything of that nature? Formalities be damned, she couldn't get enough of Naruto and the effect he was having on Hinata. After Hinata's initial wave of anxiety, the blonde had done more to get her out of her shell in 4 hours than the whole Hyuga clan had done in 3 years. A drunken Tsunade had accepted her offer and headed back to the Namikaze estate to let Tsubaki know. They had bathed the kids and placed them in Hinata's room with some extra futons. The kids had fallen asleep almost immediately. As the whole estate went to sleep, aside from the patrols, Naruto's dreams began taking an ominous turn. He started to roll and shift around on his mat until he woke up and went to look for some water. As he was returning from the bathroom, he noticed that Hinata's door was open. He couldn't shake the ominous feeling from earlier, so he was on guard. He reached in his pocket and pulled out his wooden kunai and creeped to the door. When he entered, he saw a man in all black tying up Hinata and Neji slumped against the wall, bleeding from his head. After a moment's panic, Naruto screamed as loud as he could, "Get away from Hinata-chan." As he screamed, his eyes flickered red and he jumped at the startled intruder. The man would regret not taking him seriously as a wooden kunai ended up lodged in his eye. The man then grabbed Naruto and said, "Die brat. Damn you." He chucked Naruto through 2 walls into the Hyuga's courtyard where he slammed into the fountain and passed out with blood coming from his head. The man then grabbed Hinata and began to run but was surrounded by a group of Hyuga guards and Hiyashi. Hayashi scowled and stated in an ice-cold tone, "You will put my daughter down and come with us or your life is forfeit." As he finished saying this, Hitomi slid through the group of guards with a speed and grace of water and then began to strike the man rapidly from his blind spot. 8 trigrams, protection of the 64 palms, she intoned with an icy chill as the man began to crumple to the ground. The girl he was carrying over his left shoulder had stopped him from reacting in time. As he fell, he dropped the struggling Hinata. He lay face down in the dirt, in too much pain for him to use the suicide syringe he had brought for this exact reason. He began struggling with his tongue to get to the cyanide capsule he had lodged in one of his teeth. Hiashi, with his Byakugan activated, saw this, dashed to the man and flipped him over. He paralyzed the man's jaw, forced his mouth open and removed the capsule. He pointed to two of his guards and told them to take this man to T&I. He pointed to his brother, Hazashi, and another branch member and had them go tell the Hokage. It was at this point that Hitomi processed Naruto's crumpled form on the fountain. She cried out in fear as she sprinted over to Naruto's body. The scream also drew Hiyashi's attention, and he sent another Hyuga to go and inform Tsunade that they will be taking Naruto to the hospital. Hiyashi gently pushed aside his wife and daughter that were kneeling over an unconscious Naruto and scooped him up. His heart was overflowing with gratitude and apprehension as he raced across the rooftops with an unconscious Naruto. Aftermath of Hyuga incident. Naruto woke up with a massive headache, feeling like his whole body was aching. He tried moving his left arm but was unable to. Something big, soft and attached to something heavier was stopping him from moving. As he opened his eyes and cleared his blurry vision, he saw his Ba-chan was slumped over the bed with his arms secured between her two voluminous mounds. He looked over and saw the flowers and, get well, cards from the Hyugas and medical staff. The sun was beginning to light up the village and peek through the curtains. He noticed that Tsunade was beginning to stir thanks to his movement and the beam of sunlight that found its way into her eyes. As she came to, she cleared the saliva from her chin and began to cry as her eyes met Naruto's. Naruto freed his arm and patted her head. "It's okay, Ba-chan. I'm okay." She cleared her tears and her honeysuckle eyes shimmered as the light bounced off the wet orbs. "You scared me, brat. You were out for a whole day." After a bit, Naruto asked about Hinata. Tsunade smiled and said, "She is fine, little hero. You saved her." Naruto's gigawatt smile lit up the room and he let out a deep breath. A nurse popped into the room and saw this. She waved over the rest of the nurses on the floor. Tsunade turned around and noticed 6 nurses peeking through the door at the heartwarming scene. "What are you looking at? Get to it!" Tsunade playfully yelled as the nurse began her checkup and the rest of them scattered. After scanning Naruto with a diagnostic jutsu, the nurse couldn't believe it. Yesterday, Naruto had 3 broken ribs, a broken arm, a cracked vertebrae and a concussion. Now, aside from some residual injuries, the kid was fine. She asked Tsunade to check her work, just to make sure she didn't do it wrong. Tsunade confirmed her findings and told the nurse that the kid may have a healing factor and that she would conduct the tests herself. It was at this point the third Hokage entered, and Naruto's confusion turned into another brilliant smile. "Good morning, Hokage Jiji. I am all better now." Hiruzen turned to Tsunade for confirmation and got a slight nod in response and a look in her eyes that said, "We will talk about it later." He then turned back to Naruto and asked, "Good morning, Naruto-kun. You gave us quite a scare. Are you sure you are feeling alright?" "Hi, Jiji. I am totally fine, especially since Hinata-chan is okay." "What happened to that bad guy?" Hiruzen chuckled at the boy's exuberance. "Yes, Naruto-kun, Hinata-chan is fine. The bad guy was arrested, and we are talking to him now. Don't you worry about that, just get better." Quote, "Hi, Jiji. I want to get stronger, Jiji. That man hurt me, and he would have hurt Hinata-chan. Please, Jiji, train me, please." Hiruzen's smile fell, and he said, "You are still young, Naruto-kun. Why don't you enjoy being a kid for now?" "No, Jiji. I want to get strong so I can protect my friends and take that hat from you. Please, Jiji. Just a little bit of training. I really want to be able to protect my friends. Besides, I can train and have friends and spend time with you and Ba-chan. Please, Jiji." The smile returned to Hiruzen's face, and he said, "Okay, Naruto-kun. Just a little bit of training. However, I still want you to be a kid and spend time with your friends." Quote, "Hi, Jiji. I promise," replied an ecstatic Naruto. Later that day in the Hokage's office, Hiruzen was talking with Hiashi, Hazashi, Hitomi, his advisors and Tsunade. It turns out that the man was the head ninja of Kumo, the same man that was the ambassador for the peace treaty that was just signed. He had been tasked with kidnapping an unsealed Byakugan and returning with it to Kumo. If he were caught, he was to immediately commit suicide so that his death could be blamed on Konoha. However, the quick actions of Hitomi and Hiashi stopped him from being able to end his life. Now, he was interrogated via the mind-walking of the Yamanaka clan while he was kept asleep by a sleep seal that Jiraiya made for suicide risk T and I prisoners. Danzo opened the conversation. Hiruzen, this cannot be allowed to stand. This is a violation of the treaty we just signed. It is clear that the treaty was just a manipulation by the Third Reikage to trap us. Their own ambassador is the one tasked with kidnapping the Hyuga girl for Kami's sake. We should take this as an act of war. Hiruzen frowned. He knew he would get this reaction from his old rival. Relax, Danzo. It is not that I disagree with you, but we have just recovered from the Kyuubi's attack. We cannot afford to go to war at this time. Koharu nodded and said, war would not be beneficial. We are simply not in the right state to commit to a war with Kumo. However, we have a valuable political card here, Hokage-sama. We cannot afford to fold this hand either. Danzo cut back in. Is it true that the boy managed to wound the enemy shinobi with a wooden kunai? Yes, Danzo. Naruto was able to catch the kidnapper by surprise and lodged his wooden kunai in the man's left eye as he was tying up Hinata. Replied an amused Hiruzen. Danzo nodded his head and simply said, impressive, for one so young. As the room agreed with Danzo's statement, Hitomi spoke up, Hokage-sama, if I may speak freely. Hiruzen nodded and Hitomi squeezed Hiashi's hand as she continued, the Hyuga and the Uzumaki are the clans affected. They attempted to kidnap our heir and, in the process, they harmed the sole heir of two clans. Murmurs of confirmation came from everybody, and Tsunade's face adopted a look of cold fury. However, it would seem that revenge may be out of our reach. So how about the next best thing? She asked. Looks of confusion erupted from everyone. Then Hitomi saw a twinkle in the Hokage's eye. Yes, Hokage-sama. How about public humiliation? That is what that proud bastard of a Reikage would hate the most. Hiruzen chuckled and he took a hit of his pipe. Ah, Hitomi-chan. Remind me to never get on your bad side. What does everyone think? I think we could talk to Daimyo-sama and get his help on this. Hi, Hokage-sama. They chorused. There was a slight frown on Danzo's face, but that lifted when he heard the next bit of news. Young Naruto woke up today and asked me for a favor that I am a bit hesitant to grant. He asked me to be trained in the shinobi arts so that he could get strong enough to protect his friends. Hiruzen said a bit resignedly. Danzo replied immediately, Hokage-sama, I volunteer to train the boy. You know that I have plenty of experience training shinobi from a younger age. I believe that I can get him trained. I have no doubt that you can, old friend. However, I do not want any of that emotional conditioning nonsense. Hiashi cut in at this point. Hokage-sama, the Hyuga clan owe Uzumaki-san a debt. I believe that training is the least we could do to repay him. Quote. Tsunade then broke into the conversation. I want a piece of him too. That kid has enormous potential, and he is already joining the medical staff for their morning training. Hell, the brat can keep up with most of my doctors. Quote. Hiruzen outright laughed at the immediate explosion of interest in his successor's son. Okay. They say it takes a village to raise a child. The way I see it, young Naruto claimed his right to be my successor. I see that potential in him. However, I don't want to rob young Naruto of his childhood. We can create a schedule so that each of you can begin training him. Danzo, I am serious. None of your old route training and emotional programming. I will be keeping my eyes on the child's progress. I want you to teach him, in an appropriate manner, about the darkness of the shinobi world. We will handle showing him the leaf that bathes in the sun, and you have my permission to give him a glimpse of the roots of the great tree. Quote. Tsunade was bothered by this. She couldn't deny Danzo's effectiveness, but his methods were known to be brutal and damaging. Sensei, I know Danzo has a lot to teach. I would be lying if I said I weren't concerned about his methods. However, I will be watching him closely. My stipulation is that all training is to be done in the Namikaze training grounds. This will keep Naruto protected from prying eyes that would wonder why one boy is getting so much attention. Quote. Agreed, said Hiruzen as he once again saw consensus around the room. We will come up with a suitable schedule. I trust that Tsubaki has begun instruction of basic knowledge already. So, each of you will get 1 day a week to train Naruto. Since this is a group effort, what you teach will be known to the others. I will conduct annual progress reports with the boy. Anything else that need be discussed. With that, the meeting came to a close and Hiruzen sent a letter to the fire daimyo. Kumo's bad day. The third Raikage of Kumo, was a proud man. His pride was the only thing that could eclipse his strength. So, when he was visited unannounced by the lightning daimyo, who came with a party of 100 samurai and 1 prisoner, he was in a rather foul mood. The mood soured further when he caught a look at the prisoner's face from his city's gates. The vein that immediately popped on the man's head was so pronounced that you could see his heartbeat through its pulsing. Behind him, his son and named successor, also named I, could be seen. He picked up on his father's foul mood and took a step back and stood in silence. When one's father was on the Biju subjugation squad and had fought the 8 Tails one-on-one and had subdued it with only a wound to his chest, 1 kn. OWS not to be around when said father is angry. Killer B, the third Raikage's adoptive son and vessel of the 8-tailed octopus, also backed up and gave his adoptive father room. As the lightning daimyo's entourage approached, I noticed the serious look of the entourage. The samurai took a ready stance when they saw the black lightning dancing off the third Raikage. The lightning daimyo had his men stand down since he was familiar with the antics of A. The daimyo motioned with his hand and the prisoner was brought forward. The previous head ninja of A's shinobi force wore a downcast look and sported an eye patch. He bowed his head, spoke out of turn and said, I am sorry, Raikage-sama. It was at that point that the black lightning exploded from A's body. He bounded forward and severed the man's head from his body. As the body fell lifelessly to the ground, the daimyo looked aghast at the behavior in the presence of a daimyo. The blood that spouted from the headless man splashed near the daimyo's feet. The lightning daimyo said, well, I had come to discuss the diplomatic ramifications of you creating a treaty, signing it and violating it on the same night it was signed. Now, though, that seems unnecessary. I hereby decree that any and all financial assistance from the Land of Lightning, as well as mission requests and funding, are suspended until the third Raikage, has been removed from office and replaced. I also expect a formal and public apology to Konoha to be made for violating the 5 nations' rules of neutrality. I will await the newly appointed Kage in the capital. That is all. The lightning daimyo ascended back into his carriage and the whole entourage turned back to the lightning capital. A deafening and palpable silence hung over the crowd as the lightning daimyo departed. The third Raikage looked frozen, as if he had locked up. His faces started turning blue and a slight twitching could be seen from his body. In his rage, his lightning chakra had gone out of control and caused his heart to start beating rhythmically. If anyone dared to approach him, they may have noticed. Instead, they all waited for the third Raikage to explode. Then they kept waiting, nobody wanting to make the first move and draw upon the wrath of A. However, after nearly 30 minutes, A's son approached and put an arm on his dad's shoulder. Dad, we will work this. He never got to finish his sentence because the slight pressure from I's massive fist was the only force needed to push his now dead father over. Everyone gasped as the third Raikage fell, face first, dead on the paved road leading into Kumo. The carnage that followed left the land of lightning in a state of upheaval for the next 3 months. Eventually, I, the son of the third Raikage, was named the fourth Raikage of Kumo. The 3 months without missions and support from the land of lightning had caused a depression that would affect Kumo for nearly the next decade. I handled the public apology to Konoha as his first act as Raikage. I made it his mission to restore Kumo to its former glory. He had the largest shinobi force in the elemental nations. Now all he had to do was restore the faith that his father lost. It was because of all this that I adopted a mentality that all international dealings will be on the up and up. At least as up and up as shinobi affairs can be. Once news hit Konoha of Kumo's reaction to their humiliation, Sarutobi took all his advisors, the Hyuga clan representatives, Tsunade and Jiraiya out for a night of drinking that cost him nearly half a year of his salary. Sarutobi, while happy and very, very hungover, vowed to never again offer Jiraiya and Tsunade an all-expense-paid drinking night. As Sarutobi was waking up, Tsunade was also coming to her senses. She had long since moved into the Namikaze estate. The Senju estate was so empty and brought up so why painful memories. That is why, when Tsunade woke up in her bed in the Namikaze estate looking at a long mane of white hair covering a man that was snoring with his face down in the pillow, Tsunade then grabbed Jiraiya and chucked him out the window of her room. The racket she made and the hell she raised woke up the whole estate. Tsubaki and Naruto walked up on a ranting Tsunade. Her tirade continued until Naruto spoke up and calmed her down. Maybe it was the cute and innocent toddler, or maybe it was her completely state, but she eventually did calm down. A 4-year-old Naruto woke up at the crack of dawn to get to his training. For the past 6 months, he had trained 4 days a week. On Mondays he trained with Tsunade and sometimes Shizune. On these days, he would join the hospital staff for their morning physical training. After physical training, Tsunade would make breakfast for Naruto while quizzing him on the previous week's homework. They covered subjects like chakra nature, chakra control, the basics of field medicine and human anatomy. While it could be said that Naruto was smart for his age, most of this material was quite hard for him to understand. He learned basic anatomy quick enough, and he knew how to treat cuts and basic wounds, but anything about physiology or internal medicine would clearly have to wait until Naruto was older. It was during this training that Naruto learned how to awaken and use his chakra. If Tsunade Ba-chan wasn't so scary, Naruto would admit that this was his least favorite day. Sure, Naruto understood that chakra control was super important. However, when a 4-year-old has Jonin-level chakra, it gets very frustrating for a 4-year-old to control that much chakra. The leaf sticking exercise was very hard for Naruto. It took him a whole month to be able to stick the leaf for 30 minutes. Damn leaves kept blowing off his head or lighting on fire when he was just trying to keep them stuck to his head. In between his weekly lessons, Naruto had stripped most of the trees near the Namikaze estate of their leaves. He would be out there on the training fields, day after day just trying to make the damn things stick. Tsunade recognized that Naruto's frustration just made the exercise harder. When she saw this, she would make him do physical exercises. Naruto did sets of 50 push-ups, diamond push-ups, pull-ups, squats, lunges, sit-ups and burpees, and then he would run around the training grounds 10 times. By the end of 6 months, Naruto could repeat these sets easily. He remembered trying to learn the tree walking exercise. He got frustrated so often that he ended up doing 12 sets of his usual workout in one day. Tsunade was so surprised when she saw his physical prowess that she started made him meditate in between sets and tree walking attempts. To her immense pride, Naruto learned tree walking in 3 weeks. This control helped Naruto, and after tree walking, Tsunade attempted to teach Naruto his first jutsu, the Henge no Jutsu. At the 6-month mark of his weekly training, Naruto was close to mastering this technique. Naruto felt his progress and that filled him with pride. It also helped that whenever Naruto hit his training goals or mastered a new technique, Tsunade would take him to Ichiraku Ramen. After mastering the leaf-sticking exercise, Tsunade took him to Ichiraku's. And like a crack addict, Naruto was hooked after the first bowl. The repeat visits led to Naruto eating 3 extra large bowls of ramen at the ripe young age of 4. Tyuki, the stand's owner, saw the next coming of Kushina and his future best customer. Tyuki and Ayame were quickly added to Naruto's list of those he would train to protect. Tuesdays were days that the Hyuga clan opted to teach Naruto. Hiashi, Hazashi and Hitomi split this duty. Their goal was to teach Naruto the basics of taijutsu to establish a base for his taijutsu. They also focused on the importance of being precise during katas, which taught Naruto attention to detail and precision. Hiashi was strict and emotionless, but it was clear that he took pride in his training. Days with Hiashi started with footing, form and katas. They evolved into attacking the wooden training dummy and hand positioning. This was hard work, especially when Hiashi found out about Naruto's usual workout. After that, Hiashi would make Naruto do 50 repetitions of one of his exercises for each mistake he made in his katas. This produced results in Naruto's taijutsu basics. On the days Hazashi taught, Naruto often got to spar with Neji. This served to motivate both, and a friendly rivalry was formed. Under Hazashi's strict tutelage, both boys dared not step out of line. They were evenly matched, despite Neji being nearly a year older. However, toward the end of the 6-month period, Hazashi had to admit that Naruto was pulling ahead. In raw taijutsu, if Neji used the actual Juken, then Naruto would be defeated, but Hazashi did not want to start that type of sparring yet. Days with Hitomi were Naruto's favorite. Hitomi was kind, pretty and patient. She taught Naruto things like manners, etiquette and proper conduct. She knew this boy was going to grow into an important figure and didn't want him to be an ignoramus when it came to dealing with important people. The going was hard, but she could see the improvement. She also tried to bring Hinata whenever it was her turn to come. Naruto liked Hinata. She was nice, and she listened to him talk about whatever. After the first couple of visits, Hinata started getting more comfortable with Naruto. She would talk with much less stuttering. She stopped flushing whenever he looked at her, and she was even able to yell at Naruto once when he made a distasteful joke about her mother. Naruto was so caught off guard by a yelling Hinata that he immediately apologized profusely. The two kids had a good friendship, but Naruto made it his mission to break Hinata out of her shell. Wednesdays were weird for Naruto. The old mummy came on Wednesdays. Naruto initially needed Tsubaki present when Danzo was teaching because Naruto feared the gruff, bandaged man. He was super strict, emotionless and talked about stuff that made Naruto feel awkward. Naruto hadn't seen a dead person yet, so whenever Danzo-sensei had talked about killing, Naruto got wide-eyed and shy. The first 3 months Danzo kept the training topics lighter, talking about the importance of stealth and operating without drawing attention. Surprisingly, Naruto proved an effective study at stealth lessons. The child had no concept of suppressing his chakra, which made him a beacon for a shinobi of Danzo's caliber. However, the boy was surprisingly good at staying out of sight. Danzo also piggybacked on the chakra control lessons Tsunade was teaching Naruto. He tried to get the boy to understand the importance. He was forbidden from teaching him water walking yet because his chakra coils were not developed enough. However, he would have the boy do exercises and katas while sticking to the tree. He did this to teach him control and multitasking. At 4 months in, Danzo started bringing his personal bodyguards with him to training. These people were pale sticks in the mud. They never smiled, never joked, never did anything. All they did was spar with Naruto and teach him. After watching Naruto do the leaf-sticking exercise with 1 leaf on each of his arms, legs, torso and forehead, Danzo noticed that the boy was starting to burn some leaves. This led him to test Naruto's chakra and find out that he had very high fire and wind affinities. Despite this amazing discovery, The training group concurred that it was too early to teach him any elemental jutsu. Even though the boy was a natural, all trainers felt like they should hold off, except Danzo. Finally came Thursday. This was Naruto's favorite day each week. This was Uchiha Day. Fugaku heard about the training of Naruto and knew that he had to take part in it. He focused on the boy's taijutsu, trap making and shuriken jutsu. Things like physical activities seemed to motivate Naruto and he soaked up the knowledge like a sponge. Fugaku couldn't help but be proud of Naruto in Minato's stead. He would bring over Itachi, who had just entered the academy and was on track to graduate early. He also brought Sasuke, a very kind but competitive boy that was Naruto's age from the Uchiha clan. Sasuke liked these days because his dad would actually train him and Itachi would train with him as well. He was frustrated and motivated by the fact that he had never beaten Naruto. In fact, over the 6 months Naruto had started to lap him in progress. Although Fugaku knew that it wasn't fair to compare the boy's due to Naruto's other trainers, it still brought a frown whenever he thought his boy was being outdone. On the other hand, Naruto had never beaten Itachi. In the beginning, Itachi had walked right over Naruto. He was better in every shinobi art, a true Uchiha. By the 6th month, Itachi would have to admit that the boy who was 3 years younger than him made him have to try. Itachi was being pushed in a spar by a 4-year-old Naruto. The boy was slightly slower than him, but Kami was tricky to fight. His reflexes were top-notch, and his fighting instinct was incredible. In the last week of the 6th month, Itachi activated his Sharingan by sparring with Naruto. Despite Itachi only being 8, he was now the youngest Uchiha since Madara to activate his Sharingan. When Itachi returned to the clan compound that day and told his best friend Shisui about activating his Sharingan while fighting Naruto, Shisui insisted on coming to every Thursday training session AF. Tear that. Jiraiya would stop by the compound for a week at a time, a couple times each year. After the night and subsequent morning with Tsunade, they worked things out. To Jiraiya's immense relief, Tsunade said she would give them a test drive. Her conditions were there is absolutely no peeking in Konoha, and if he slept with any woman other than her, not only would it be over, but she threatened impotence. She requested that he abstain from it outside the village as well, but she knew that was a big ask. She just didn't want his perversion thrown in her face is all. Jiraiya always woke up with a shit-eating grin when he was in town, and this had a positive effect on Naruto's training. Jiraiya focused on Naruto's Fuinjutsu. Being the only Fuinjutsu master in Konoha meant that the responsibility to teach the last Uzumaki the art fell to him. Since the kid started his calligraphy when he was 3, Jiraiya was always surprised by the progress Naruto made. Jiraiya couldn't help but get excited and talk through seals when Naruto displayed an almost innate understanding of the art. When he was 4, Naruto created his own storage seal. He managed to improve on the basic storage seals found in the shinobi shops and increase their capacity by double. When Naruto was 6, he created a variation of the explosive tag that Jiraiya instantly took to the Hokage for mass production. Naruto made a flash tag that would only flash a 180-degree angle from where it was deployed. The potency of the flash depended on how much chakra was put into the tag. Being a knucklehead, Jiraiya had asked Naruto to flash him on max power to see the tag's effects. Jiraiya couldn't see until Tsunade had gotten home from the hospital that night and fixed the poor pervert's eyes. Speaking of perverts, since Jiraiya had sworn off all things perverse, he needed a muse. He found that in Naruto. The boy would talk about his innocent friendships with Ino and Hinata, and the pervert's mind automatically converted it into his raunchy novels. All he had to do was add in all things, which came naturally to him, and Naruto's stories helped him find his inspiration. At the risk of Tsunade's wrath, Jiraiya gave Naruto a scroll on sensual ninjutsu, level 1. This scroll taught Naruto how to use chakra in massages to stimulate other people, relieve stress. As Naruto's chakra control got better, he began testing out the sensual ninjutsu At first, he offered Tsunade, Tsubaki, Shizune, Ayame and the nurses from the hospital massages. He said it was to practice chakra control and make them feel better. Most of the women found it amusing until Naruto would give them a massage on their back, feet or hands. The immediate relief of tension and pain made Naruto a hero around the hospital. Stories of Naruto's success in the sensual arts gave Jiraiya even more inspiration and made him want to teach Naruto even more. Jiraiya poured his effort into his student's son whenever he was in town and always left Naruto with the next level of Fuinjutsu book. At this rate, Jiraiya would be able to let Naruto into Minato's study in no time. These training sessions produced such good results that Fugaku and Hayashi couldn't help but share with the other clan heads. The hype around Uzumaki Naruto grew to a dim roar among those in the know. Sure, there are prodigies like Itachi, Shisui and Kakashi. They were young and each of them displayed an amazing level of skill for their age. However, the positive energy that each teacher got from training Naruto made him unique among the prodigies. Not only did Naruto learn at an amazing rate, but he also made those teaching him enjoy doing so. These rave reviews caused Inoichi, Shuza and Shukaku approach the Hokage about getting time to teach Naruto. For Sume, it was the reviews on Naruto's massages that made her want to teach the boy. It seemed like a great deal to her. Teach the pup a bit and then he can take care of all the stress. To the Hokage's amusement, all requests to teach Naruto came in on the same day. He couldn't help but chuckle. This resulted in Naruto's playdates turning into impromptu training sessions with various clan heads and heirs. Naruto's free time. The rest of the week were rest days for Naruto. Although Tsubaki still made him study on these days, it was his time to relax, recover and be a child. Over the following 3 years, Tsunade frequently took him for play dates with his clan friends. She preferred to have the kids come to the Namikaze estate since Naruto was still young and they wanted to keep him out of the public eye, but relaxed that standard after a while. All clan leaders and family members had agreed to keep Naruto's existence a secret. Whenever he was in public, he was referred to as just Naruto. No clan name was ever said out loud, in case nosy ears were listening. This worked well because there was not a single attempt from the villagers, or outside shinobi, to attack Naruto. So, after a while, Tsunade and Tsubaki began accompanying Naruto to the other clans, compounds or out to parks. He developed relationships with each of the clan children. Aside from the pre-made friendships between the Shikamaru, Ino and Choji, Naruto was the link that bound the clan kids together. Naruto was the ringleader of the boys. He would always partake in the games, choose where they should go, kept the conversation fun and flowing. Not to mention that he even made the lazy Nara enjoy running around and playing. Kiba loved rough housing with Naruto and running around the woods in the Inuzuka compound with him. Choji loved the trips to the barbecue or ramen stand. Naruto even got Sasuke into his friend group. The timid Uchiha child struggled at first, but Naruto never left anyone out. In time, Sasuke began hanging out with the boys even without Naruto present. Shikamaru enjoyed just talking with Naruto while cloud gazing. He even taught Naruto how to play shogi, which often led to the boys sitting on the porch while huddled over the shogi board. Either Naruto was a Nara in disguise or he was a natural at shogi because he would come to the Nara compound, talk about anything and everything while playing shogi and then push Nara clan members hard. The boy was just so frustratingly random in his moves. Even Shukaku nearly lost to Naruto when Naruto was 7. The complete and total lunacy of Shukaku having to visibly concentrate, sweat and plan out his game made it seem like the Nara clan had lost, even though he won. Yoshino couldn't get enough of the blonde knucklehead. He brought such vibrant energy to the lazy compound that she often bribed Tsunade with sake nights just to get Naruto over. When Naruto was 6, Shukaku made Shika spar with Naruto. Shika was beaten in 10 seconds, which frustrated the lazy Nara. No matter how troublesome it was, nobody wanted to be beaten that soundly. So, Shukaku nearly fell out of his chair the next morning when Shikamaru asked him to train him. The sight of the Nara heir running around the compound and sweating made the lazy clan feel one word, troublesome. Ino had the hardest time with Naruto. She liked hanging out with him so much. He was a fellow blonde, he was cute, he was funny, he was strong, and he always put his friends first. Ino loved that much about him. What was hard for Ino was that she wasn't allowed to talk about him or ask questions. She knew that everybody knew some big secret about Naruto, it was obvious from how the parents acted around him. It was why the secret was so important, it was why she couldn't ask questions, it was why Naruto seemed to be one big secret. When Ino turned 5 and Naruto came to her birthday party, she decided to ask him. She pulled Naruto into her room and then asked, "Naruto, do you know why I am not allowed to talk about you to anyone else?" "I'm sorry Ino, I don't really know myself. I asked Ba-chan about it and she said it was to keep me safe and that she would tell me soon." A sheepish Naruto replied, "Well, that sucks, do you know who your parents are? We only get to call you Naruto and we never use your last name. I know that my mom was an Uzumaki and that she died the night of the Kyuubi attack. I don't know who my dad was, but he is part of that secret that Tsunade Bakken said she would tell me soon." "Oh, okay. So, you are an Uzumaki, were they a clan? I haven't heard of them." Naruto's face fell and he replied, "Yeah, they were a clan. Supposedly they helped found Konoha, but they never really lived here. Then, in the Second Great Ninja War their home was destroyed. Tsunade Bakken thinks that I may be the last Uzumaki." Ino felt terrible, she saw how much this hurt Naruto and she didn't want him to be sad. She even surprised herself when she leaned forward and gave Naruto a kiss on the cheek and said sorry for asking. A blushing Naruto reeled and asked Ino, what was that for?" Ino giggled and replied with, "It is because I like you silly and I don't want you to be sad." Quote. From that point forward, Ino was Naruto's champion in the gossip network. She kept an ear out to make sure nobody was talking about Naruto or spreading any information that shouldn't be out. Sure, she loved telling her friends how nice and cute he was, but she never betrayed Naruto's trust or to LD anybody his last name. She kept him on a pedestal in her heart as the truest standard of a friend. Meeting the fox. Naruto loved his life. He was almost 8 years old. Tsubaki had always been there for him, taught him and dare he say, loved him. Tsunade was another part of his family that Naruto couldn't live without. She kept him reeled in and bound to sanity. Naruto always found it amusing when Tsunade would pull him inside from a long day's training. She would throw him into the bathroom and not let him out until he was spotless. Her training was productive and made him feel in control of himself, which was quite a feat for an endless ball of energy. He has been meditating for almost 4 years now. This practice helped him process his training into easily manageable and digestible portions. It was during one such meditation session at the end of Naruto's training that Naruto went deeper than ever before. He was feeling his chakra and giving into its flow. He followed it from its origin, his heart, down and throughout his body. As he got caught in the flow, Naruto felt something pull on his conscious. As Naruto followed that pull and opened his eyes, he found himself in a hallway. One side of the hallway was illuminated in blue light. As he reached out and touched it, he immediately knew that it was his chakra. He could feel the flow. As he crossed the hallway, he paused in front of the red lighting. Once again, he knew it was chakra, but it felt different. As he reached his hand toward the red light, he felt the heat and immense energy it was emanating. When he touched the source of the red light, he felt anger and hate in something else. It felt wrong, like it was off balance. While this feeling scared him a bit, he decided to follow the hallway. He noticed as he walked by that the doors were labeled with names. Over one door read, Ba-chan. Out of curiosity he opened it and watched a memory of him and Tsunade learning water walking. That was only a couple months ago, but it played out for him like a movie. He was in his orange swimsuit, completely soaked from head to toe. Tsunade was standing out on the lake laughing at him holding her favorite bottle of sake. Ah, come on Ba-chan. There is something you aren't telling me. I can't seem to get this right. Last time, I created a tidal wave and this time I take one step and then fall right in. It is something you have to figure out for yourself, brat. It is kind of like tree walking, that is the only clue that I will give you. Quote, Naruto pouted for a bit, then got a devious smirk on his face. Are you sure that's all you can tell me Ba-chan? If you help me get this done today, I will give you shoulder and foot massages every day this week. Quote, Tsunade couldn't help but be proud of this bugger. Alright, brat. The thing is that water is not a solid like wood. Therefore, the chakra flow cannot stay fixed. You must fluctuate your chakra based on the depth and condition of the water. Try double what you did for your last attempt than just trying to stand on the water's surface before walking. Thanks, Ba-chan, said Naruto as he flashed his million-watt smile at Tsunade. After another few attempts, Naruto found the right flow and was able to stand on the water. Naruto focused on pulling himself out of the memory and stood in front of the door. This was surreal. Who knew he could meditate and review memories like this? As he marveled on this, he continued walking down the hallway. After a minute, he came upon a massive door, about 40 feet high and 20 feet wide. It was emblazoned with the crest of a nine-tailed fox on each door. Naruto felt drawn into the room, like there was something he needed to do in there. As he entered, he marveled as the room opened up into a massive auditorium-like room. However, Naruto noticed that he couldn't see all the way across. After a bit, the room faded into darkness. So, being a curious almost 8-year-old child, Naruto continued walking. As he approached the darkness, a massive cage came into view. Being this close, Naruto could not see the end of the cage. Since Naruto couldn't see anything behind the cage, Naruto called out. Hello, is there anybody there? Quote, after he spoke, a light appeared from above and illuminated the massive head of a fox. Its head was lying over its paws that were crossed under its snout. Naruto could feel the massive power radiating from the creature. Its beautiful fur produced a reddish-orange sheen that was beautiful. The beast didn't move or do anything, so Naruto called out again. Hello, Mr. Fox. This got a response from the creature. It opened its massive eyes, and, in its eyes, Naruto saw the projection of what looked like a windm. Shuriken. It had 3 black blades with a hole in the middle. Each of the blades curved off clockwise and connected to the next blade. Underneath the projection of this shuriken, Naruto could see a pair of slitted red eyes that looked out of focus. Naruto was stunned by the pattern, but he got the feeling that something wasn't right. It was then that Naruto heard one word before being ejected from that place: help. Naruto reeled and took a deep breath upon returning to the world. He couldn't believe what he just experienced. He knew that happened inside him, otherwise he wouldn't have been able to see his own memories. So, what was that fox? That was so vivid and real. It couldn't have been his imagination, could it? No. No way. It asked me for help. There is something inside me that needs help, thought Naruto. He got up and raced off to find Tsunade. Since the sun was setting, Naruto was sure that he would find Tsunade in the kitchen with Tsubaki. He would probably get scolded for missing dinner again. As he burst into the kitchen, Tsunade laughed at him. Out late training again, brat. Your dinner is in the fridge. Despite his hunger, Naruto needed to get this out. Not now, Ba-chan. I have something very important to ask you. Tsunade and Tsubaki noticed the serious and slightly panicked look on his face. Okay, Naruto, what is it? Ba-chan, I was meditating and saw something. I need to know. Is there a fox in me? The color drained from Tsunade and Tsubaki. Seeing their reaction, Naruto knew the likely answer. 4 years of learning and training his mind led him to one conclusion: is it? Is it the Kyuubi? After a pregnant pause, Tsunade answered Naruto, yes, brat. There is a long story behind this, and it appears we will have to deal with it now. Get cleaned up and then we are going to the Hokage's office. Quote. An hour or so later, Tsunade, Tsubaki and Naruto walked into the Hokage's office. Hiruzen had dealt with most of the paperwork and was puffing on his pipe as they entered. He immediately noticed the serious looks on their faces and sat up. Good evening, Naruto-kun. What brings you to me so late in the day? Tsunade answered by asking Hiruzen to clean the room and asking if Jiraiya was in town. At the serious response, Sarutobi said that Jiraiya just got into town. He dispatched an Anbu to find him and bring him to the office. 15 minutes later and Jiraiya jumped in through Sarutobi's window and threw out a casual, "What's up, sensei?" He then looked around the room and saw the rest of its occupants. He walked up to Tsunade and gave her a chaste kiss while greeting Tsubaki and ruffling Naruto's hair. Tsunade returned the kiss and said, "Jiraiya-kun, serious mode please." This got an immediate response from the normally playful Toad Sannin. Sarutobi retook control of the conversation and said, "Okay, Naruto-kun. Why don't you tell us what this is about?" Thus, Naruto recounted his trip into his mind. What started as being impressed by being able to visit one's mindscape turned into a deathly silence and pallid looks on the faces of Araya and the third Hokage. "Okay, my boy, it appears that it is time to have this conversation," replied Hiruzen with palpable desire to avert this conversation. Thus, Hiruzen began recounting the night of the Kyuubi attack with the conclusion of the Kyuubi being sealed into Naruto. Naruto processed the information for a bit, then asked, "Gigi, something didn't feel right with the fox. When I felt its chakra, it felt like something was interfering with it. Like when Shizune Nekin put me in a genjutsu. Then, when the fox opened its eyes, it looked like something was on its eyes." The pallid expression of Jiraiya and Hiruzen darkened, while Tsunade and Tsubaki didn't seem to know what was going on. It was Jiraiya that asked, "Naruto, could you show us? Maybe draw it for us." "Sure thing, Jiraiya-sensei." Naruto unsealed a brush and some paper from a storage seal on his shirt. He then drew out the pattern that he saw on the fox's eyes and the entire room was drowned in killing intent from the Hokage. In response to this, 4 Anbu showed up kneeling. "What do you need, Hokage-sama?" asked the dog-masked Anbu. "Inu, bring me Fugaku and Shisui Uchiha, now." In response to this, the Anbu disappeared and reappeared 20 minutes later with a confused Shisui and Fugaku. The Hokage held up Naruto's drawing and asked, "Do you two recognize this pattern?" Although confused, and now slightly perturbed by the feeling in the room, they both nodded. Hiruzen then asked, "Fugaku, this is the pattern of a Mangekyo Sharingan, will be called MS for short from here on out. Is that correct?" Although he was hesitant to spill clan secrets, Fugaku caught the mood in the room and noted the present parties. "Hi, Hokage-sama. May I ask what is going on?" Hiruzen had Naruto retell his encounter with the fox and he put focus on how things felt off in the pattern on the fox's eyes. Both Fugaku and Shisui immediately went white. There had been suspicions about the fox being controlled, specifically by the Sharingan. Now, there is little doubt. So, there is either a traitor among the Uchiha, or an unknown MS wielder controlled the fox. Fugaku, I never thought I would have to ask this, but I need a straight answer from you. Are you two the only MS wielders in the Uchiha clan currently? Hi, Hokage-sama. As far as the clan is aware, that is correct. Quote, you understand the implications of this effect being on the Kyuubi still. Hi, Hokage-sama. The user is still alive and if the fox were free, it would still be under that user's control. At this point, the Hokage flared his chakra again calling the Anbu. Bring me Inoichi, it is an emergency. Once again, the Anbu disappeared and reappeared with an Inoichi in his nightwear. You called, Hokage-sama. Yes, Inoichi. There is a lot going on, but I trust Fugaku and Shisui will consent to you taking a look through their minds. I need to clear them of suspicion before we move forward. Fugaku and Shisui looked startled, but nodded their heads nonetheless and said, "Hi, Hokage-sama." A very confused and hesitant Inoichi responded, "Can I ask why, Hokage-sama?" Quote, Hiruzen looked to Naruto, who once again recounted his visit to the fox's chambers. Inoichi was stunned speechless. He was only brought back by Hiruzen clearing his throat. Inoichi, make no mistake. I trust Fugaku and young Shisui there. I need only confirm what I believe before we can move forward. It will be done, Hokage-sama, replied Inoichi as he bowed and saluted. After an hour of mind-walking both Fugaku and Shisui, clearing them both of any liability, Inoichi recounted to the Hokage. That they are trustworthy. Okay, Fugaku and Shisui, do either of you possess enough chakra to attempt and break the control on the Kyuubi? Fugaku responded with, Hokage-sama, my MS does not have any mind control abilities. Mine are all combat-oriented. He then looked at Shisui. I believe I can do it, Hokage-sama. I want to help Naruto-kun. Hiruzen nodded and looked to Inoichi. Can you take Shisui into Naruto-kun's mind and attempt to free the fox of this genjutsu? Quote, Inoichi paled, Hokage-sama, that is extremely risky. What if the demon awakes and attempts to hurt Naruto, Shisui or myself? According to Naruto-kun, the fox said only one word, help. If we were to help it, not only would eliminate the control an unknown enemy has on the Kyuubi, but it might be grateful and make things easier on Naruto-kun. Naruto stepped forward, Gigi, I don't know a lot about this, but I want to help it. It has been under someone else's control for almost 8 years. If I were it, I would want somebody to help me. The room marveled at the confidence and righteousness of this boy. Most ninja would cower in front of the Kyuubi, but this boy is standing up to his burden head-on. Inoichi reluctantly conceded, Hi, Hokage-sama. Shisui also nodded. Inoichi continued, Okay, you two take a seat on the couch. Naruto, when I connect Shisui to you, your mind it is going to feel heavy. I need you to focus on meditating and drawing us back to your mindscape. I will help guide you there. Shisui, just hold on to my chakra and enjoy the ride. Once we get there, it is all on you. Hi, Inoichi-sama. Quote, as Inoichi sat and touched Shisui's head, a moment later Naruto felt Inoichi's hand touch his head. He then felt their presences and dragged them along his chakra flow, down toward his stomach and into his seal. The three opened their eyes in the hallway that led to the Kyuubi's auditorium. Inoichi marveled at the layout and precision of a child's mindscape. When he saw how the memories were divided by each person important to Naruto, he marveled at the boy's ability to organize his mind in this way. The group continued walking to the massive door. Before opening the door, Naruto gave them a warning to prepare themselves. They both nodded and followed in after Naruto. The immediate pressure they felt from the Kyuubi's aura was immense. The density of its chakra, the might of its presence. Then there was this child, walking forward like it didn't bother him at all. Naruto approached the cage and called out once again. Kyuubi, I am here. You asked for help, I have brought it. The light above once again illuminated the head of the giant fox. It opened its eyes in response to the noise and looked out at Naruto, Shisui and Inoichi. Inoichi took a step back and felt himself sweat. Shisui marveled at the fox and the pattern emblazoned upon its eyes. He took a deep breath, channeled his chakra to his eyes, activated his Sharingan, which gradually transitioned into his MS. This got a response from the fox. Its head raised and it seemed to respond to the Sharingan. Shisui intoned, Kai, Koto Amatsukami, return to your own free will, Kyuubi. The lights around the room shuddered. The Kyuubi let out a mighty roar that instantly ejected Shisui and Inoichi from the mindscape. The Kyuubi stood and shook out its fur, seemingly happy to be moving of its own volition for the first time in 8 years. After settling back down and getting comfortable, the Kyuubi looked at Naruto with its massive, red-slitted eyes. He took in the boy in front of him and a growl emanated from deep in its throat. So, I finally meet my new jailer. Normally, I would eject you from my presence, but I am in your debt, said the Kyuubi in a deep tone that radiated with power. The young boy standing in front of the majestic fox stood stricken by the combination of power, grace and beauty. He took a while to process that the Kyuubi was waiting for him to respond. It's nice to meet you, Kyuubi-sama. My name is Naruto Uzumaki. A guttural chuckle escaped from the Kyuubi. Ah, so Kushina's brat is the one I am now stuck in. Well, boy, as I said, I am in your debt for freeing me from that man's cursed control. I do not leave debts unpaid, so speak. I don't really want anything from you. I saw you when I was meditating and noticed something wasn't right. Then you asked me for help, so I brought help. And, yeah. That's pretty much it. Why did you help me, Ninjin? Because I thought that I wouldn't want somebody controlling me and I felt its influence in your chakra. It was dark, nasty and nothing good could ever come from it. Quote. So, it seems you picked up my ability to sense negative emotions. Very good. Okay, Ninjin. As I said, I do not want to be in your debt, and I am tired from that accursed genjutsu. I will answer one more question, then I will sleep. Quote. Oh, okay, said an overwhelmed Naruto. Then he took a deep breath and asked, did you attack Konoha because you wanted to or were you forced to attack Konoha? Once again, a deep chuckle filled the auditorium. When I was ripped from your mother, I was angry. However, as I was reforming, that man put me under his control. After that, he gave me the command to destroy Konoha. When I was given that order, I began attacking your village until that yellow-haired ninja and the toad attacked me and moved me away from the village. We fought for a bit, but the toad and your mother held me down while that cursed Yondaime Hokage sealed me into you. Wow, so the Yondaime did fight you, huh?